welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew Jensen. It's a pleasure to see you. We have a new backdrop here. We're in Kelly's apartment for this one. As the title alludes to, I'm going to talk about the costs of professional golf. Last year, I made two videos about the costs of what mini tour golf is. I broke down one tournament in particular, and then later in the season, I broke down what my summer costs out there. Those videos are the most watched videos on the channel because I believe it's information that a lot of aspiring professionals or college players want to know, and it's very high up on the Google search. Even when I first turned pro, I wanted to know, how much is this going to cost me? You can ask players that you know that have already played or friends or what have you to try to get some information, or you can just come on YouTube and hopefully we can help you learn a little bit more about the cost of playing golf professionally, basically anywhere that isn't the web.com tour. So I'm going to reference all of the tours, events that I've played over the course of my career and try to give you a ballpark estimate as to what you can anticipate when it comes to playing a year of professional golf. Let's dive right into the numbers here. I started doing this video basically a couple of weeks ago when I was playing an event on the CCPT tour in Quebec. This is a really good tour for our 2 and 4 day events. The purses are really nice 2-day events with $40,000 and $50,000 purses, and some 4-day events with $100,000 and $150,000 or $175,000 purses. And the entry fees range from $380 to $420. The last one I just played, $380 entry fee. I got an Airbnb, so I'm going to reference Airbnb hotels, round the numbers, ballpark the numbers. So 2 nights in an Airbnb, $145. For me, I had to get from Ottawa to Montreal, so about a tank of gas all in, so that's $75. The gas is really expensive in Canada right now. And then 3 days, so given your practice round day, your first round, your second round, 3 days of food, roughly about $100. If you can budget $30 to $40 a day on food, you're doing a very good job. And that's basically doing some groceries, so you can grab your breakfasts, and then eating very modestly when it comes to lunches and dinners. So that event basically cost me $700. Purse was $40,000. The break-even point, if you want, is going to be kind of varying depending on the event. So we won't talk about that. We're just going to talk about how much it costs and kind of how much you're playing for. Then a couple days later, I played a Great Lakes Tour event, a 36-hole event with a $20,000 purse. The entry fee, a little bit higher because the Great Lakes Tour isn't backed by sponsors the way that the CCPT Tour is. Great Lakes Tour is a very typical mini tour, developmental tour model. The entry fees go up a little bit, and roughly 80 to 90% goes into the purse. So the entry fee after tax, $505. Gas, I had to travel from Ottawa to Toronto, much longer travel, so about $150 in gas, so 2 tanks of gas. And then you look at the food, 2-day event, so 3 days of food, so roughly $100. This particular event, I stayed with family. That saved me on the hotel, the Airbnb costs, and that's something that you try to do whenever you can. If it's friends or families, you try to stay with them as often as you can, and you're very grateful and you're very thankful. But no matter where they are, like my first year on the Canadian tour, I had family in every city but 2. So I stayed with friends or family in every event. Saved me a lot of money. So that was about $765 with a $20,000 purse. And now we can talk about the Mackenzie Tour, which I have played in the past. I've had 3 full seasons out there, and I did the Q School for that earlier this year. But the Mackenzie Tour, you're looking at, I think it's about a $300 entry fee now. Food, basically you're looking at 6 days with a 4-round event, a couple days of practice. You're gonna be in that city for roughly 6 days, so maybe $200 in food. And then your travel. So your travel is basically your hotel, your rental car, your airfare, and that kind of stuff. So from my experience, kind of averaging it out, you're looking at about $1,200 in travel every week. That altogether is about a $1,700 week. Purse on the Mackenzie Tour is now $200,000. But to get on the Mackenzie Tour, you need to go to Q School. And I did make a video about all of that, all the logistics of Q School. But just breaking down the expenses of Q School, the entry fee is $27.50. Your travel, I got lucky that I got to play one at home, but you're gonna tack in a bit of travel, put about $1,000 of travel, and then again, food, 4-day tournament, 6 days in the city, so roughly $200 in food. Your expenses all in for Mackenzie Tour School, roughly $39.50, so roughly $4,000 all in just to do Q School for the Mackenzie Tour. Some other tours that I've played on, other things that I do to fill my time, this new tour in Orlando, the Florida Elite Tour, entry fees $500. I'll need to travel to Orlando to play these events, a 2-day event, 2 nights in a hotel, so roughly $150 there. Food, again, 3 days all in, about $100. And for my case, gas is much cheaper in Florida, but just driving from Jacksonville to Orlando and back is about $50 in gas. So that tournament, you're looking at about $800, and the purses there are $20,000 as well. Not too dissimilar from the Great Lakes Tour. Another thing that a lot of developmental tour players do are just kind of random one-day events. You want to stay sharp. If you have a couple weeks off, you can find one-day pro-ams, you can find one-day Great Lakes Tour events. There's a lot of mini tours in Florida, there's mini tours in North Carolinas, Arizona, California that have these one-day events, and their entry fees are roughly $200. Let's round it around $200 for a one-day event. If it's a local thing, your expenses are a little bit of gas and a little bit of food, so let's say about $50. So $250 to play in one day, and those purses range anywhere from $4,000 to $8,000. The other thing that adds into these that I've played, that a lot of developmental tour players play, are kind of your random 4-day events or 3-day events. And those are your State Opens, your Adams Tour, your Swing Thought Tour, the old Hooters Tour, E-Golf Tour used to be one when I was around, the Gateway Tour. So these are 3- and 4-day tournaments that run model just like the Mackenzie Tour, just like PGA Tour Latino America. The expenses are roughly the same, but where it's switched is you don't have as much in the travel expenses, but you have more in the entry fee. Just like I had said about developmental and mini tour golf earlier, the entry fees kind of just come together and that forms the purse. There's no sponsored dollars. So a lot of these entry fees are looking anywhere from the $900 to $1,200 range. And yes, your travel and your food goes down because you're not traveling as much. You're staying very local, an Arizona-based tour and you live in Arizona, or a Florida-based tour and you live in Florida. So you can look at another $1,700 there, or if you happen to Monday qualify or get an exemption into a Mackenzie Tour event or a PGA Tour Latino America. So you're looking at $1,700 there as well. So that's kind of all the events that I've played. That's all the opportunity and options that are out there. Tallying it all together, if you're not playing on the web.com tour, you need to be playing a lot to be prepared for when you go to Q School or when you get the opportunity to advance. So a really good schedule is playing anywhere from 20 to 25 tournaments a year. Those are all 4-round tournaments. At the high end, 100 competitive rounds a year. You look on the PGA Tour, a good schedule in a calendar year is in the low 20s with their wraparound season. They maybe play more events in a season, but in a calendar year, they're still playing in kind of in the low 20s. So that's what you'd like to do. You'd like to mirror that as well. So playing 20 to 25 events a year, if you're playing on the Mackenzie Tour, you had your Q School and then you have 12 events on the tour. So based on the $1,700 per event and the Q School, your expenses for the Mackenzie Tour are roughly $24,350. But that's just 12 events. So you want to throw in, if you can, 8 additional tournaments, 4-day events, 3-day events. So we can kind of round that at around $14,400. So all in, a season on the Mackenzie Tour, late May to September, and then filling in the time at either end of that, like bookending that with some of your various miscellaneous events, your season's looking at $38,750. So to have a very competitive full year playing the Mackenzie Tour and some additional events, you're looking at roughly $40,000 of expenses. If you're playing more of the developmental or mini tour season, you're going to try to find, if you can, maybe 22-day events, which is going to cost you roughly 16 grand right there if they're 800 an event. So then you're going to want to find maybe 5 to 10 random one-day events. So at $250 a pop, let's say 5 of them, pro-ams, whatever, that's $1,250. And then if you can, find some 4-day events, like my little season, finding 2 of them, so that's $1,700 each, that's $3,400. So a little mini tour season, which again runs from, let's say, May through September, that's $20,650. And then you're gonna have to find some events to bookend that, but I'm just gonna focus on basically what a lot of us have done, a lot of Canadians have done. What I've done is you focus playing basically May through September and then transition yourself into any Q school that you're ready to go in. So $20,650. So the expenses at the mini tour developmental level are considerably lower, but you're not playing for as much money, so your chances of recouping those expenses or turning a profit, or if you're in an arrangement with a backer or backers where you're splitting profits, whatever, there's less profits to be made. Something like the Mackenzie Tour, obviously with guaranteed purses of $200,000 every week, a couple good weeks out there, you've maybe even recouped your entire season out there, and then anything over and above that is gravy. A full season of developmental tour golf, you're looking at in the $30,000 to $40,000 range. Doing it on your own dime or doing it on credit, I don't recommend that. I've tried to do that and it was very, very difficult, near impossible. I don't know many players that have had a successful run going on their credit card. Maybe you can have an successful week or two. It is something that you do need to find some funding, be it corporately, privately, family, whatever it is. You would be best served to have a bit of that money in the bank before you go out and pursue a professional career. Even if it's half your year covered, go out there and give it your all for 6 months, and then you can reevaluate from there. I hope this video does help anyone out there that's thinking about turning pro or has just turned pro and is trying to discover how much it is or what they're looking at financially. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and guys, I'm gonna see you with another vlog in a couple days. Peace.